Emily Smith Rowe, exit, all keep him meeting at Arsenal has gone ahead to be scheduled. And guess what? Charles Watts, formerly the Arsenal correspondent for the side of the goal, and Fabrizio Romano are into the mix. Vitor Roque at Barcelona future, obviously into the mud, and Nicolo Zaniolo. You know him very well. He's playing for Aston Villa. He has come out and obviously had something to say about his future right about now. I told you that you're gonna feel the heat because we are really gonna do something today that we haven't gonna hit to do this channel. And guess what? It's all about what we call a third video, and more as yet to come. It's just 19 hours, you know, and more videos are ready to come. I'm having a live stream that is really coming in through and more other stories are really gonna be uploaded onto this channel, and we want to see to it that we set the bar so high in this summer transfer window. I'm planning, by the way, to do a ridiculous number of videos on a daily. Just buy your data, turn on your notification bell, and the rest is gonna really follow you up, because you know how it is when news is coming in through. We thank God for the gift of life. The Muslims, Barakallahu Fikum, and may the living to God bless you abundantly. Rokani David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun. And Emily Smith Rowe is one of those players that I really love a lot at Arsenal. But I tell you, as I told you in the previous video I did about Fabio Vieira, the competition is really stiff, and the only way he could find himself to the team of Arsenal is by being there or readily available when the manager needs him. Yet for the previous 2 seasons, that hasn't gone ahead to be the case with Emily Smith Rowe, and every time the manager has gone ahead to need him, he hasn't been readily available. And most of the times he comes in through and really performs very well, and you expect him to obviously get into a consistency of starting games. He obviously gets injured, and that is really a huge red flag into his career as Emily Smith Rowe at Arsenal. And now stories have gone ahead to coming through from Fabrizio Romano, and it reads for what Arsenal's plan is like for this guy, Emily Smith Rowe. Now, Fabrizio Romano has told us that I'm aware of talk of meetings being scheduled between Emily Smith Rowe and Arsenal, but my understanding is that nothing has been decided on this yet. I think it's an open situation based on proposals, but at the moment I'm hearing it's a quiet situation. Let's see in the next weeks if clubs join the race. That's what Fabrizio Romano told us via the court of side on Emily Smith Rowe. Now, Charles Watts, formerly working he's now an Arsenal journalist at Court Offside Goal, author of the Sunday Times best-selling book Revolution, you know, The Rise of Mikel Arteta, and he has come out and obviously spoken to us. He's an Arsenal correspondent for the Court Offside and the Goal. He said, "We are talking about Emily Smith Rowe potentially leaving. As much as I don't want Emily Smith Rowe to go, I still think the most likely outcome is that he does go. From conversations I've had, from the lack of game time he has had, if he's not getting if he's not getting those opportunities, it feels like the most likely option for both parties that he's going to go." Now, I understand, unless otherwise, Emily Smith Rowe doesn't want to obviously get better and better and better before he really turns, I think, like 25 years of age or 26. He needs to get in more playing time. If you are a very ambitious player, you have to do what Willock went ahead to do. Willock was at Arsenal and was not getting ample playing time, and he decided to go on loan to the side of Newcastle, and Newcastle went ahead to obviously cash out some huge amount of money for this guy, and he went ahead and really signed for Newcastle on a permanent deal. Now, for Emily Smith Rowe, all what Arsenal has to do, as I told you for Fabio Vieira, is not selling him immediately. What you have to do is, there are teams that are interested in him that I'm going to come out and really hint on very soon. What you have to do is simple. Loan him there. Obviously, he's going to be having a very good season there. And you take him on loan and you tell him that you're going to loan you that side and extend your contract for 1 more year. Then, when he does better, obviously very many teams will come in through, and Arsenal can get close to £50 million from Emily Smith-Rowe. But right now, he's being valued between 30 and 40. That is really very tempting for Arsenal. If a talented team can come out and really give Arsenal £40 million, it is really good for their transfer window, because that comes in through as what you call pure profit from a player that has come in from the academy. That is pure profit, and you know what the FFP really reads. You have to spend money on the profits that you make. You get? And those profits obviously can be contributed to by Emily Smith-Rowe's amount of money. And Arsenal has a set of 3 players coming from the academy they can sell. Nketiah, Emily Smith-Rowe, and Nketiah, Emily Smith-Rowe, and Reece Nelson. And they can really make some huge amount of money from those kind of players. So, a meeting is expected to take place, I know, even before Emily Smith-Rowe goes to his summer holidays, because he needs to obviously rectify his plan and future at Arsenal as up. He needs what we call an immediate response from Arsenal on whether they are going to really keep him or not. If I'm an agent of Emily Smith-Rowe, I would be pushing for a move out of Arsenal. That is it. You move out of side of Arsenal, because if you've not gone ahead to be in the starting 11 of Arsenal and the pecking order, you're really lacking to be the favorite even coming off the bench. That means you are not going to be near the starting 11 next season, because Emily Smith-Rowe's best season at Arsenal, he played as a left attacking midfielder. And right now, in the left attacking midfield role, there is Martinelli and Trossard. You get? And now Gabriel Jesus is another one that's being looked at to be playing that side. You are having 3 players who are 100% ahead of you. You know, in the midfield, I don't think that Emily Smith-Rowe will find himself doing any role in there for you, unless otherwise Mikel Arteta is really gonna hate to really tell him that, please, I see you as that man that can come in through and really do the needful for my club into the mix. But I don't see that happening for the side of Emily Smith-Rowe. So it's really very, 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 very threatening for him as a player. But I love his talent. I love him as a player. But I think time comes when you have to leave the club that you love to go elsewhere to shine. You know, it has gonna hate to happen to very many players at Arsenal, and they've gonna hate to obviously build their careers elsewhere. You know, look at Serge Gnabry. And for Emily Smith-Rowe, he is lucky that he has gotten a chance to obviously get into the team of Arsenal. But for Serge Gnabry, he was not having the chances that Emily Smith-Rowe really had, like 2 seasons of him playing into the first team of Arsenal. You get? He was loaned to West Brom, then he was sold. Is it to Hoffenheim in Germany? That's where Bayern Munich went ahead to buy him. So, going out from Arsenal is not really a sign of failure, but it's a sign of really showing that you need to get more time to obviously become a great player. I told you, every player gets better and better and better when he's being played in. And if I told him Emily Smith-Rowe, I don't keep at Arsenal. But one thing he has to keep in mind is that he has to keep himself fit, because he has proven to be an injury-prone player in the previous 2 seasons of Arsenal, 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024. Yet for the seasons of 2020, 2021, and 2021, 2022, he was one of the reliables at Arsenal who kept themselves fit, but he hasn't gone ahead to find himself into that position. And I tell you, if he kept himself fit, he would have gone ahead to find himself in that side of Arsenal. I tell you. But he's really one of those players that needs obviously coming through and really put in the required shift from where he was to where he is right now. It's what we call a reality check, and if he sits down with his agent, he's not gonna get enough playing time at Arsenal. He should either push for a loan outside of Arsenal, or else push for what we call a permanent sell. Now, which teams are really interested in Emily Smith-Rowe? There is Newcastle. He's one of those teams, and he's from a manager that gave him his debut at Arsenal, that is Unai Emery. He's also interested in signing him, and I think Unai Emery will be excited to get him on a loan, and Emily Smith-Rowe will be one of those players that can get into that team. That's what he needs. There is nothing else that Emily Smith-Rowe needs rather than getting into the team of Aston Villa or Newcastle or West Ham that really want to sign him, to see to it that all goes his way as a player. So we wait and see how that is going to pan out here onto the channel. That is the Rokani Media Football. But for Emile Smith Rowe, he needs to fight, because he's one of those people that I thought that had a very bright future, but surprisingly, he hasn't gone ahead to hit the mark I always expected him to hit. So we leave that at that, but it's a very saddening story. I'll always let you know what is going to come out of the meeting. Now, you all know about Vitor Roque, his agent clashing with Xavi and so on and so forth, and we now know that Barcelona have a new manager known as Hans Flick. We don't know what thought is going to be having onto this guy, but we've gone ahead to obviously get a story coming in through from what we call at Sport. FC Barcelona still believe that the best thing for Vitor Roque is to leave on loan, but the final decision will be made by Hans Flick. Roque's entourage believes that if he has to leave Barcelona, it will be on a permanent transfer and not a loan. Now, there is what we call a collusion. A collusion of decisions. Barcelona want to loan Vitor Roque out of Barcelona for 1 season, and then see to it that he either gets back or else they sell him. But I know why they want to loan him, because they know when they loan him to a team, he goes ahead and really performs well because he's a very clinical striker. Barcelona can even demand for like 70 million euros and make a huge profit of 30 million euros from the amount of money they obviously sold him. But they take him out on a permanent deal right now. Not him can get them even the amount of money they bought him, that is 40 million euros. So that's the tricky bit of it. And for his agent and his entourage of Vitor Roque, they want a permanent sale of their player. That is where that dilemma really arises, and we don't know who is really gonna have the best day and is gonna really have the best laugh. Why? Barcelona are really so much rigid, you know that very well, and the agent has gone ahead to obviously open what we call a verbal cold war with Barcelona, and he's fighting Barcelona in the media. With the problems Barcelona really having, you wouldn't like to see stories leak out like that, you know. Vitor Roque, after those words that his agent put out, he wasn't even allowed to be with the first team in the games they played. That summed up the season of the side of Barcelona. You understand? That's how ugly it really went to. But he's a very young player, and I wouldn't like to see it that his agent is really managing him this way and really exposing him to these early battles. I think the best thing to do for his agent, he just had to come out and really say, all right, I've gotten to understand that it's not all well, and let's really fight internally. I saw no reason as to why he had to come into the media to obviously speak out. I see that as naive. He would have gone ahead to go to Deco and told him, Deco, when you're signing us, you told us big promises. Manchester United, Chelsea, we are willing to go out for this player and really sign him on a permanent and give him some huge amounts of money. But you haven't gone ahead to really fulfill your promises. The player is fit, he trains very well, but is nowhere near the first team. Yet you knew what we decided. And then after, Laporte would have gone ahead to intervene, and then they find a better solution. And I see no reason as to why this agent came out and really put out these stories, yet he knew to it that Xavi was going to be asked. I think what turned him off was the reports that Xavi had gone ahead to obviously reunite with Laporte, and Laporte had gone ahead to make a decision for Xavi to stay at Barcelona, and Xavi had gone ahead to accept. Then later, Xavi came out and really made reports that Laporte found disgusting, sacked him, and brought in Hans Flick. Now, it will depend on Hans Flick. I think right now, it's on Hans Flick. If Hans Flick can come out and really put out a decision that I would love to have Vitor Roque playing for the side of Barcelona, then Vitor Roque will be having a chance to play for the side of Barcelona, because the manager can come in and really give him promises. And for Barcelona, if you let Vitor Roque out, you have to back the manager with new or with another striker, because he can't rely onto the 35-year plus striker. That is Lewandowski. And they are uniting with Lewandowski. He was working with him with Bayern Munich. He trusts him, but he needs a secondary striker. Are they gonna go ahead and really sign João Felix on a permanent? We wait and see, because for João Felix, he gives you a lot. He can play behind a striker as a number 10. He can play as a right forward. He can play as a left forward into the mix. That is João Felix for you. So we are here to wait. But in my perspective, I think the agent should calm down and see how the player is going to be received by Hans Flick. If Hans Flick understands him very well, he's good at improving young players. We're going to hit to hit that at Bayern. Is going to hit to trust young players. And after trusting those young players, a lot is going to hit to go their way. So let's wait and see how that pans out. But we are here to see to it that a lot really goes their way. That is what I had for you for now. Continue to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Oh, we still have one more story left. I'm sorry. We still have one more story left. It's all about Nicolo Zaniolo, who was loaned from is it Fenerbahce or Galatasaray in Turkey to the side of Aston Villa. His season at Aston Villa has not been all that impressive, I can tell you, and I don't know what Aston Villa are going to be doing. Are they going to sign him on a permanent? I don't know, but he has come out and really spoken on his future. He said, I still don't know how many possibilities there are for me to return in Serie A. I'm happy to hear about Fiorentina, but it's still early to know where I'm going to play. It's all open for clubs in Italy and also abroad, he told Gazzetta. Now, he is confirming to us that it's an open affair. Any team can sign him. Aston Villa aren't pushing to sign this lad on a permanent, meaning that they are not impressed. And with them going for Ross Barkley, it shows you that they are getting in a more versatile player that can do very many jobs. Zaniolo has been really second fiddle in most of the positions that he has always going to have to be played in. He was sometimes played as a right forward and most times played as a left forward for the side of Villa. But his numbers haven't gonna hit obviously excite Unai Emery, and he believes that they are not gonna go to sign him on a permanent. Now, what were his numbers? Zaniolo. Nicolo Zaniolo. Now, his stats were as follows. This 24-year-old, 25 Premier League games played, he scored 2 goals. Very, very, very much lofty forward. 24 years of age, and he is a player who plays for Galatasaray, and he was loaned to Aston Villa. I don't think that Aston Villa have any urge to make his move permanent. I don't think they have the urge to make his move permanent. So maybe returning to Italy will be one of those thoughts that will be running in the head of Nicolo Zaniolo, because looks like teams like Fiorentina are into the mix. They want to sign him on a permanent, so to it that he really gets back to Italy to be up and running. I'm just waiting to see whether he's part of the Italian national team that's going to be called to play in the Euros, because if he has a chance to be playing in the Euros, we all understand that he will have a chance to really put himself back onto the market. He might find himself play well in that Euro tournament, and every team might be going for him. You remember it with the World Cup. Amrabat came in through and really put in a shift, and that's how he found himself at Manchester United. You know, Onahi was a big disappointment for me. I thought would have gone ahead to get a move to the Premier League, but it never really came to pass for Onahi. But for the rest of the players, it's really doing good and great. So guys, thank you very much for watching through your thoughts onto Emile Smith Rowe. Arsenal executing meeting scheduled. You know, very soon we'll be knowing his future on whether he's going to have to stay at Arsenal or he's going to be leaving on a loan or a permanent deal. And what would you do if I told you were Arsenal? Would you sell him or loan him? I'm waiting for that in the comment section below. Then, secondly, what do you make about Vitor Roque? Should he go out of Barcelona, or he should wait for Hans Flick to obviously have a word with Hans Flick and see how things are really going to pan out with him. And Nicolo Zaniolo, what do you think his future is going to be? Rokani David is my name. I sign out for now. See you later. Start video of the day, and more videos are set to come into your vicinity. We out. We cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. For the Muslims, Barakallahu fikum. Ciao, ciao.